been an emphasis in the last decade or so on family worship,
Yeah.
for men to spiritually lead in their home and to participate, to lead in regular family worship. What's this look like in your own life and in your own family?
It has certainly progressed through the years. So when my children were little, it was pretty regimented that we found dinner as the best time to do this. So the images of everybody in their jammies and gathering everybody right before bedtime around the fire to read scripture and sing, yeah, that just didn't work in my house. I had kids that just it was very hard to wrangle in that way. So we seized the moment of dinner. Say everybody's sitting here, everybody's got something to do, and we ended up creating an environment to read scripture, to talk about it, and to pray together and even sing some when they were little around the dinner table. And that happened a few times a week, pretty regularly. As my kids got older, so, I have grown children now, I have teenagers, and it changed a lot from then. So we actually don't have a time where we all gather as a family together. As they got older, we stopped doing that. But what ended up happening is my individual time with the kids that I was having when they were little, that most part read about in the book in this section, that was really sweet for about 10 years. And then as my kids got older, teenagers, they wanted to do different stuff with me. And that started looking different. And I started to make adjustments around what they found helpful. I'm a creature of habit. I don't like change. So my wife had to just prod me a bit to go, look, ask them what they want to do. Don't just stick with what you've done. So a lot of it more individual conversations. I would say more spontaneous spiritual conversations that happen at lunch on Sunday, and we're all able to have a good conversation about it because everybody was there and heard the sermon and all those kinds of things. So it morphed more into an organic conversation, more structure when they were younger, and it changed to more just organic and informal when they got older. What about your
Yeah.
family?
Similarly, I admire people who have the nightly routine. They
Yep,
spend
that's right.
15 to 30 minutes.
We're not mocking it. We're saying we weren't good enough to pull it
That's,
off, is what we're
that's
saying.
absolutely
So,
right. Yes, yeah, I wish in a lot of ways, and there are lots of ways in which there's failure to emphasize these things as much as there ought to be, but it's just never been the rhythm of our family to do that. But I was taking a seminary seminar one time, and that question was asked about that. My daughter had just been born, my first child had just been born, and we're asking about family worship. And the person who was teaching, the professor who was teaching the class, just said he's tried to find ways in the natural course of life to invest, very similar to what you've
yeah,
described.
yeah,
And in many ways, that was an encouragement to me. And there are the different aspects that you would think of in family worship: to read the scripture, to sing together. My family, we love to sing together. We do a lot of times in the car or something like that. So it's not that those aspects or those elements are absent. It's just that we're finding other ways to do it and to read the scripture and to talk about those things and to digest the scripture and try to figure out how we're going to live it out. It's just a regular part of our conversation in our home, and I hope my children understand that.
I think I think what I could speak for both of us, what we want to communicate in this short conversation is that this is important. This is why
That's
there's a
right.
whole week on this.
That's right.
This is an important thing to lead your family spiritually as a man, as a
Mhm.
pastor.
Yeah.
It's not good if a pastor is leading a church and not leading his home first. But we also want to put out there that uh, there can be an undue pressure that's put on pastors to say, I'm the pastor, I'm supposed to do this exactly like everybody expects me to. And we want our stories to hopefully resonate with guys like, you don't do what everybody says, just do what's going to work for you, do what's going to be effective, and be gracious to you when you maybe have a plan and the 3-year-old who's throwing a tantrum isn't letting it happen that night. That's actually okay. Like give yourself grace because as one with older children, and your children are growing older too, we can testify that the one night missed to family worship is not going to be the deal breaker. It's going to be the consistency of loving and caring for them, knowing and seizing the moments to have spiritual conversation with them when it really matters and when they're attentive to listen.
Yeah, don't hold yourself to a standard that's really artificial, and it can impose a lot of guilt not only on yourself but maybe even on your wife, as you act like you should be held to this standard. And then at the other end of that would be to neglect your responsibility to lead your family spiritually. And you touched on both of those. And so it is to purposefully and even prayerfully with your wife to pray about how can you lead well in the home in this area. But be encouraged. It doesn't have to fit a certain mold.
Yeah, last thing I'll say is you and your wife have conversations about it. Be in agreement on what you're going to try to accomplish and do. She can feel that pressure in a way that's unhelpful as well.
Yeah, that's right.